Good afternoon, and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11, and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Here to take a look at the pitching for today, the 25th of August. It is Tuesday, and we have a 12-game main slate ahead of us this evening. From my understanding, we don't really have any weather to worry about, so we could take pitching for what it is at this point. A reminder that this is a first look at the pitching options as I try to trim down the pool. We have 24 pitchers in it right now. We want to cut that, down to 12 to 14 to then make it a little bit more palatable for when we spend the next couple hours fine-tuning our pitcher pool. And I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you play in FanDuel, cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't quite as tight. You don't have to be as creative. It allows you to get stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. Now with all that fun stuff out of the way, let's just jump in right away. Houston and New York in Yankee Stadium. Pecco made his debut last week. A lot of people were on him because of the matchup. There are some plus things in his minor league profile, but there's some bad things too. The whip and walks were a big issue, and they showed up a little bit in that opening start. I don't really expect to get any better in this matchup, so I'm going to pass on Pecco. Will Warren is somebody that I am debating. Right now, I'm not really planning on utilizing him, but it's certainly possible. He was good against Houston the first time he faced them, but I just don't know. Decent fantasy points at home, but he does allow, a home run every 5.2-ish innings, so that's obviously not something that we like to see in this ballpark. His strikeout numbers jump significantly when at home, so that's always something to pay attention to as well, though. It's probably not a decent spot for some upside. I just don't feel super comfortable with him. I'd probably put him in, the 14 guys that I'm going to try to break down when it comes to creating my actual pitcher pool. Kansas City, Toronto. This is a game I'm going to have zero interest in pitching. Pretty much never playing Lugo. He hasn't been great at all. Taking on a Toronto team that doesn't really strike out at all. He's pitching on the road where he's been atrocious, so no thank you. And Scherzer, I have played him some recently, but this is not really a spot for me. Kansas City as well doesn't really strike out a whole lot. Scherzer doesn't have a ton of K upside anymore anyways. I actually really like the Kansas City Bats in this one. Milwaukee and the Mets. Zach Thornton, somebody that I've played multiple times. I believe I played him against the Brewers the first time I faced them. I understand I probably could play him again. I am going to pass, though. I'm just not feeling great about utilizing him. He hasn't been spectacular by any means of late anyways. I just think that there's a way that Milwaukee kind of gets to him a little bit more, and I don't want to chase the 7 strikeout performance in his last one. So I feel like I'm okay passing on Thornton. If he's somebody that you wanted to include in yours, I probably wouldn't argue it too much just because I do like left-handed pitching against Milwaukee, especially when they're on the road. On the other side, you get Kyle Harrison. Nearly 29 in his last start, 34 3 starts ago. Kind of in every other over the last 4. A ton of upside. He's much weaker on the road, and that's a worry, right? Those home road splits are pretty extreme for him. But I just can't pass on the upside that he provides or showcases. So for that reason, I just have to get there and use him. It's not like he can't have good starts on the road. He did put up nearly 22 in Atlanta without getting the W. He put up 40 in Chicago. That was actually his, second best start technically. Put up 21 in Washington, so 20 in Kansas City. So there's routes for him to get there on the road. So just don't think that it's purely negative on his road starts. Dodgers and Atlanta. Bryce Elder not going to get there against the Dodgers. Would I be shocked if Bryce Elder was solid against them? I wouldn't. I just don't really want to chase this. Like this 30 fantasy point performance against them the first time he faced them feels like such a out of body like aberration. I just don't think that that's something we can expect to happen again. That came over 3.5 months ago. He is better when pitching at home, so that's for sure. But he's just not a big K guy at home. 64 Ks in 92 innings. It's not the best K rate. So I'm going to be on the Dodgers. I'm going to pass on Bryce Elder. Opposite him, Tyler Glasnow making his return to the majors after being, in the minors or on the IL and then in the minors for over 3.5 months, approaching 4 months, if I could speak. Of the starts he's made this season, he's been far better when on the road, which is where he's at tonight. So shouldn't see any limitations. From my understanding, he was pushed to 77 pitches in his last rehab outing. Super sharp in 4 rehab starts, 20 strikeouts in 13 2/3 innings, threw 5 in a third inning, so he's pitched into the 6th on 77 pitches. Probably should be an 85, 90, maybe 95 pitch guy. I would guess probably limited to either 90 pitches or 6 innings, whichever comes first would be my guess. There's a route to him just being a 5-inning guy, but I love the upside that Glasnow showcases when he is healthy. He gets Atlanta when they've mostly been struggling offensively, so it's kind of just a right combination there. It's not the easiest of matchups overall, but still, I think Glasnow's arguably, one of the top 3 pitchers on the slate for upside in this spot. So Texas and the White Sox. Anthony Kay, not somebody I'm going to utilize. He has been best when at home. Like, he's been pretty respectable, and he was only giving up 5 home runs in 70 1/3 innings. That obviously comes into play because Texas not really known as a power squad. With that said, I just have no desire in using Anthony Kay. He put up 14 against them the first time he faced them, and if he did that again, I don't think I'd really want to have any percentage of him on a 12-game slate. So I think it's fine to pass him. Jacob deGrom coming off of a 36 fantasy point performance. He had 29 3 starts ago. Kind of been in every other stretch recently. This one he dealt with an injury and left early. One start against the White Sox so far this season and was not good. So that's obviously a worry. He's much worse on the road as well, so that's kind of a worry. Kind of really similar to Harrison. Harrison's pretty bad on the road overall, but he's had some monster games on the road. DeGrom's done it too here against Cleveland with 31, 28 at Seattle, 29 at the Dodgers, so he's certainly capable of it. So I will use DeGrom. There's obviously some worry with the potential home run upside. He's given up 11 home runs on the road in 59 innings. So the White Sox are definitely a powerful squad, but still, I think there's plenty of strikeout upside for him in the matchup. Liberatore and Bassett in this last one, or the next one. Bassett, no thank you. I will pass. Liberatore is in my pool as of now. I'm trying to figure out what to do with him. He does have 18 plus in 3 out of his last 4 starts. Notice all 3 of those came on the road. A month and a half ago, he did have a really strong home start against Atlanta with 26.5. Strikeouts have been up recently, 6 plus in 3 out of the last 4. 7 plus in 2 out of the last 4. So that's a decent trend. Baltimore's been kind of hotter or warmer offensively, but they still can have their struggles against left-handed pitching. So because of that, I think I'm going to end up with some Liberatore, but I'm still debating that. He's definitely amongst the 14 or so that I'm trying to decide between. Really hoping I can get my pool down to 9 or 10 on this slate, because I do think there are a number of guys that are at least in consideration. Cleveland and the Angels, you get my number 1 pitcher on the slate. I think everybody's number 1 pitcher, probably Gavin Williams. Had a couple of rough starts in a row, but then got back to his double-digit strikeout performances. He had 5 of those in a row, 2 rough ones, and then he got back. So 6 out of his last 8 starts double-digit strikeouts. He's had a home run issue of late. Had some walk issues too. That's something that we kind of expect to straighten itself out here in the near future. But it's such a plus matchup. He's pretty good on the road. He does give up a few runs. Kind of been a little bit more unlucky on the road. His underlying numbers are very similar. K rate probably takes a little bit of a hit, but his whip, batting average against, etc., all go down. Walk rate increases slightly, but just a plus matchup, so I'd gladly use Gavin Williams as my number one on this slate. On the other side, the big question is, what do we do with Walbert Urania? He's actually been pretty good. 25 plus in 2 out of his last 4. The 16 was all right, but it wasn't great. But he has an 18.5, a 21, an 11, 18.5, but 1 earned or fewer in 6 out of his last 8 starts. So, the recent trends are pretty good. The walks are the things that worry me, especially against a team like Cleveland. He wasn't terrible against the first time he faced him, just didn't rack up fantasy points, but pretty extreme home road splits from a fantasy points perspective. So he gets a great split. He's only given up 2 home runs in 67 and a third innings at home this season. It's fairly impressive. Average against him just 176. So really, it's just the walk thing that could get him into trouble. If he avoids the walks, he's 7-2. 7 wins in 12 home starts is pretty solid. So the more I think about it, the more I think I just have to play Walbert Urania and live with it. Klassen was fine last night, so maybe Urania can back that up. Cubs D-backs, probably not getting to either pitcher. Clay Holmes, it probably is a decent option for the Cubs, but his last start, even being decent, wasn't very good. He has just 5 strikeouts in his first 3 starts back from the IL. And that's 5. It comes with 5 walks as well. 2 starts ago was pretty solid against St. Louis, but Arizona doesn't really strike out all that much. He did face them here in May. Only 16 fantasy points is not the greatest. Wasn't terrible though, but I just don't know if he has enough upside for us. I'm passing on Clay Holmes, but he's certainly somebody I can understand why you'd consider on this slate. The other side, get Brandon Pfaadt. What do we do with Pfaadt? Since being recalled, he's been pretty good. But I just don't know. His last start wasn't good. 3 home runs allowed against Boston. Still struck out 8, so he does have 15 strikeouts in his last 2 starts, but those numbers are kind of out of nowhere because before his high, I guess was 6, but even before that was 5 and 4. He's just not a huge K guy. Traditionally, he has struggled at home. Fantasy points are way down at home. His strikeout numbers are way down, or averaging just 4.5 per 9 when pitching at home this season. I just don't think we need to use Pfaadt against the Cubs offense. Twins A's, Gage Jump is somebody I'm considering, but I don't think I'm getting there. His numbers at home are pretty bad. Gives up home runs, etc. But he's just one of those K guys that could get there. Taj Bradley is somebody I'm playing. I played Zebby Matthews last night. So I definitely have to play Taj Bradley because he is a better overall pitcher than Zebby is, if I could get this to load up. But he's just got a bunch of K upside. We're obviously worried about the ballpark, and that's a big issue. But Taj Bradley is somebody I'm playing. Philadelphia, Seattle. I'm passing on both pitchers. It looks like Nola has a chance to be a little chalkier. He's kind of stepped up recently, 8, 9, and 8 strikeouts. He still has a home run issue. Seattle just spacked around Zach Wheeler. I don't want to play Aaron Nola. George Kirby hasn't looked good recently. Ks are way down. High of 3 over his last 5 starts. Walks are up. There's upside in the matchup for him, but I'm not getting there. Pitt, San Diego, I'm going to pass on Paul Skeens. I'm finally just going to play the you need to show me more angle, so I'm just passing on Paul Skeens and letting whatever happen. Michael King, I am going to play because there's K upside in the matchup. He has, 25 fantasy point upside, so why not? He put up 17 the first time he faced him. He's been better at home, so I think things kind of trend well for him. Last game of the slate, Cincinnati, San Francisco, I am considering both pitchers. I don't think either pitcher is very good, but the spot in this ballpark, opposing lineup, I think there's upside for both of them. That's what I got for you. If you enjoy what I bring you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell, and get the alert anytime we drop videos. And best of luck, everybody.